Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. So today's video, going to give you guys some news updates. One being the big news of the day, Bitmain with yet another new altcoin release. This is going to be for Ethereum Classic. So yes, another ETC miner. It's coming out. We're going to go over that recent BTC difficulty increase, and we're going to take a quick look at Litecoin's difficulty. Right, some interesting things there. We're going to go over it, make a few comments about it. So if that sounds interesting, guys, stay tuned. So let's get right to it. Let's go right to the news source, the big news of the day. So coming from Bitmain, they released a tweet today, and they kind of just like snuck it in. So Bitmain donates 100 units of E9 Pro 2 at ETC grants DAO to support and award developers who actively build applications and protocols on ETC. So here's the big news though, right? They kind of snuck it in there. E9 Pro, right? The previous model was the E9. So new ETC miner, better ecological development. Comment on what you expect from the E9 Pro. So here's the announcement. No specs, no stats, no timeline. They're just throwing it out there, right? So there is definitely a new model coming out. Again, it's the E9 Pro. Sure, we'll find out shortly what the specs are. That way we can compare it. But it's kind of funny because I just then mentioned this a few days ago in that previous video that these were going to be my guesses for this year. And here we are 3 days later. They made an announcement for an ETC miner. Reason being, I know some people were saying that maybe not because, again, the E9 in reality just came out, right? It came out right before the merge, okay? But for those of us who have been following it, we know that that made zero sense. We know that the only reason they were releasing at that time is because it looked pretty much for sure that the merge was finally going to happen. Meaning that most likely they had been using these units many months prior to then. They just knew that it was happening now, and now was the time to actually give them to us, right? Now that they're not going to be producing as much, okay? So this is part of the reason why I was expecting for them to release something, even though technically this one has only been out for 6-7 months because of that. It's been available to the public for that amount of time, but I guarantee you it's been out well over a year, right? Same with these others. Same with like Jazz Miner and iPolo. It's not a coincidence that they decided to really release an onslaught after the merge. Same thing. I guarantee you these guys have been mining on all these things. But now that they're not making as much, that's why we're getting them. Okay, so put that into consideration. So, based off of what we have here, we can expect it to most likely, it should, if it doesn't, this thing ain't going to do well, to beat the efficiency of this guy, which is right now currently going to be the king, even though it hasn't released. It's supposed to release May 2023. It's kind of weird that they decided to do that because these specs have actually been available for a few months, right? So they released the specs like 6-7 months ahead of time, which was kind of a silly move to make because essentially they put a huge target on their back for Bitmain, right? Now they know, okay, these guys are releasing this 7 months ahead of time. Let's beat them, okay? And as a matter of fact, let's release it around the time or possibly even before that one comes out. Okay, so this was a crappy move on their part because they just gave the competition the answer of what to beat, right? So we'll see. Maybe this guy ends up being better than it still, right? Kind of doubt it based off of Bitmain's track record, but this is what you want to look at to see if the specs come out better than this guy. Because right now, we can tell the E9 is super outclassed. Even by the stuff that came out in November 21. Right? Let's look at it. Almost the same hash rate, but a big difference is the efficiency. Look at that power draw difference. Okay? And then this guy is even more efficient than that. Okay? So definitely something to factor in, something to consider. Again, I'll keep you posted based off of these specs, what they actually look like. But again, most likely, it would make sense that it's going to be better than this, right? Time will tell. We shall see. ETC is not one I'm really bullish on, so I haven't really covered any of the iPolos, Jazz Miners, anything of that sort. But it is a big market cap coin, right? Even though it's not the most popular, it is a lot of money is still in there. Okay, it's still ranked number 24 by market cap. So a lot of money in there. Not the most bullish thing in the world, right? Again, I'm not really in that ecosystem. I don't really follow it closely. That's just from an outsider's perspective more than anything. And also basing it off of, previous all-time highs. Okay, this is another reason I'm not so bullish on it, because the upside isn't as big as the others, right? Even as far as following just like the previous all-time high. Okay, it did do well in May of 2021, right? That first high that we had prior to that dump, it hit $127, right? So it's about a 6x if it were to reach that. But what wasn't too appealing is the fact that in the second pump, which was in November for most of the other projects, it was in the 50s here. They actually had their second peak in August, $63. Even going by that number, that's only a 3x from where it's at now. And again, it's not one I'm super bullish on or don't see much value in. But again, if you're in that ecosystem, I know they've been trying to, focus on NFTs. They've been trying to add things to the platform. And I'm sure these investments from Bitmain, these DAOs, they're giving more grants, more money to attract more projects. So there may be more possibilities there. One other thing to factor in is just the fact that there's a lot more projects also on that algorithm, on ETH hash still, right? And as a matter of fact, there was one big one. I didn't really follow up on it, but there was back in August, there was news of Conflux, CFX, trying to switch the algorithm to ETH to use a lot of this hash rate, right? To secure their network better. I believe their current algorithm was Octopus. They talked about it back in August. I never really kept up with it. I didn't really hear anything afterwards, so it doesn't seem like it went through. But keep in mind, this is a possibility for other projects, right? Especially seeing that Bitmain's going to release yet another unit. There's a lot of, hash rate to divvy around, right? So something to just keep in mind. We'll keep our eyes on it. I'll keep you updated as we get these developments, especially as we get the specs for this guy. Because again, depending on the specs, depending on the price, it may still be appealing based off of that, right? So time will tell. Sure, we'll be finding out here in the next few weeks. So let's get to the next topic, and that's the difficulty increase with Bitcoin. So here's an article from Decrypt. So Bitcoin mining difficulty hits a new all-time high. Mining Bitcoin just got a bit harder as the network's difficulty jumped another 4.68 on Sunday. So when we look at the charts, we can see it here. It's two, significant increases in a row. The previous one was 10.26%, and this one being another 4.6% on top of that, right? So just something to keep in mind. We'll go over just some tidbits they pointed out which were interesting. So on January 30th, 2022, so a year ago, the mining difficulty sat at 26.24 exahash, but has since risen to 39.35, roughly a 50% increase in difficulty in 1 year, right? So pretty significant there, especially considering how big the overall network is, right? Take into account how many units it took to do that, right? So this time last year, Bitcoin's hash rate was roughly 102.37 exahash, making for a total increase of over 67% to the time of writing, right? So crazy. A lot of increase there. There was an interesting tweet from Brains the other day, also on this right before it came out, kind of putting things into perspective a little bit. So it took 4,018 days for a hash rate to reach 100 exahash, right? That was one huge milestone. Then from there, it took 771 days to go from 100 to 200 exahash. And then from there, it took 346 days to go from 200 to 300 exahash, right? So look at that difference. 4,018 days to reach that milestone. And then from here to here, it was about half, right? Do you think we're going to continue on this trend? Is it going to be half of that? Possibly, right? Considering all these new units coming out, especially we know this summer, a lot of these hydro deployments will be coming online, right? And we know each of those units is double of what's out right now. All of those are like 200 plus terahash. So keep in mind, a lot of those will be deployed by this summer. On top of, we know Intel's releasing theirs. Theirs are coming online with Hive. It seems like Epic Blockchain may release a retail version. So again, a lot more hash rate coming online, especially again as we get closer to the halving. I'm sure Bitmain is going to go 100% on theirs as far as what they're able to actually put out on their factory. I'm sure they will be pumping them out like crazy. So we shall see, right? Hopefully the price keeps up and they still remain super profitable come the bull run, right? So now let's switch gears again. So I was looking at different difficulty things, just kind of browsing through. Didn't realize how much freaking Litecoin's difficulty has been going up. Okay, it's been fairly significant since June. Okay, we had this run up from when the units were released. Then we kind of kept going up, going up, going up. It dipped down in June, probably from all the nonsense that happened. But pretty much from June all the way till now, it's been one hell of a steady increase. Didn't realize how many units Bitmain's been pumping out of these things. Right? It's pretty crazy. It's gone from 13 to we're at 24. Right? It's almost like what's over a 50% increase. Okay? Pretty significant. I'm sure those of you with L7s have been seeing the difference with Litecoin. But again, this is specific to Litecoin. Most of you guys buying the L7s love that damn Doge, and that thing's been pumping. So far, it's been doing good. Elon's keeping that thing alive. But for those of you who are bullish on Litecoin, just keep this into perspective. One other thing to take note of this is it because Bitmain is producing their last batches prior to a new release coming out later this year? Are they testing a new release? And that's what part of this, significant increase is just even these past few weeks. We don't know. But again, it's things you kind of got to look at. To me, that may be what it is that they're pumping out the last ones of those L7s prior to possibly a new unit coming out. Again, purely speculative, but just something to note, right? It's been a very steady increase in that difficulty. Right, and I'm sure people are trying to jump on it, trying to get all the Litecoin they can get prior to the halving, as the price has been actually doing pretty good. So we'll see, right? We'll see if we get any announcements sometime this summer, sometime this fall. Chances are we may get something, maybe not. Again, I think a lot of it's going to depend on this local tech stuff. If any of that does come to fruition, then you can almost definitely expect something. But to me, I'm pretty sure something will get announced sometime this year. If not early this summer, maybe later in the fall, but possibly not releasing until the bull run, right? Again, we don't know, all speculation, but just something to consider, right? All right, guys, well, hopefully you got some value from this video, got some good news bits. So, guys, please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, guys, and I am out.